Hello, I'm and welcome back to the video. Today I want to talk about customized superflats for Minecraft Bedrock, because as we all do know, they're coming fairly soon to that platform, and given that a lot of Bedrock players haven't experienced it at all, I figured I'd make this video because you might think if you're a Bedrock player like, oh, no, we have the best superflat already, free dirt and then the, villages, that's the best superflat you can get. But the truth is, there are so many better combinations, both for survival and for creative, and although I'd love to spend a whole video talking about just great combinations, the truth is, I want to just kind of distill things down into the best of kind of video, because we know 4J are working on it, so we know it'll be clamped down in some way in terms of they won't let you break your own game. But even in spite of that, I figured let's go over some of the most broken superflats in terms of just how crazy they look in today's video, so you can see 5 superflats that still work to this day, that still allow you to get an entirely different perspective that you can never get in the regular survival Minecraft. Hopefully you do enjoy the video, like it if you do like it, because it helps out the channel and lets know you do like these sorts of videos. And let's get straight into it by mentioning the very first one here, which is going to involve biome specific structures being placed at minimum. So everything else we do here is kind of secondary if you want to, but we're going to have biome-specific structures turned to the bare minimum, 256 meters distance between the two of them. We're going to have desert turned on, so desert biome-specific structures means desert wells and desert temples, and then we're going to have pretty much nothing on the ground. We can have as much as we want if we want to, but for now, we're just going to put something really weird on the ground, like, oh, let's have some pink glazed terracotta. So the reason we're going to do this is because when we spawn in the world, it's going to have, just one block and then bedrock, and the reason that's so exciting, also, we don't want one dimensions anyway, the reason that's so exciting is because now when we go into the world, as you're going to see, the desert temples are still going to generate, but desert temples, unlike the rest of the structures in the game, or unlike most of them, still generate based on the height they're meant to generate in a desert. So that means they can spawn below the desert if the desert's too high, and it means they can spawn fairly high above it if the desert's too low. Again, the desert base height is like fairly low down, so that rarely happens in the regular game, but if you go to a super flat, then what happens is this. So like I said, they're going to naturally spawn at about 60 blocks up. So as you can see, if we go to 60 blocks up, here is our desert temple, and if there was 60 blocks of sand around here, or, just 60 blocks of anything around here, this would just about make sense, right? Like, yeah, obviously, you have your desert temples surrounded by the sand, but in this case, they're still spawning just to reach the ground, because they're like, oh, we can't have a gap between the desert temple, we can't have it float. So instead, what happens is you get the tallest amount of, sandstone in between it, and it looks pretty darn wacky, just like this. Also, you'll spot that the villagers, by the way, my voice sucks, I know, but by the way, you'll spot that the villagers, it's I'm trying to record anyway, just powering through the weird voice thing. But basically, the villagers have the exact same kind of thing, where like, oh, things are raised up a little bit, the whole village is a block up. Okay, that's fine. Again, they expect higher results, but it means mostly that in this particular superflat combination, by having desert temples turned on with like a super low setting, even if you go up to 30 blocks, they still kind of, they go massively out the ground because they are set to go this high up. Also, conversely, you can do the same thing, you can put them underground. Basically, my point here is that desert temples, they're broken unlike the rest of the structures, which means if you want to have the most broken looking weird stuff in the game, like you can see right here, then all you have to do is turn on deserts, turn on specific structures, and then boom, you can have the weirdest combination of, look at this, this is a church made out of sandstone combined with a, a desert temple. So they're technically the same structure. Again, there's no gap between them. So let's just say for now, this is a church desert temple that happens to be 60 blocks tall. Not something you'll find elsewhere, and something that is worth mentioning. So the second custom superflat combo that's really gonna blow your mind, because it breaks the game, but it's still allowed to this day. Most of the game-breaking ones, like having floating lava, and I've shown off a bunch in the past, they've been removed, but they will probably come back on the later versions. But again, these are ones that still work now, which just kind of shows off how crazy they all are. But the next one is going to involve having a lot of stained glass, or you can use regular glass, but stained glass is more fun, so we use stained glass in color white, because honestly, it's my personal favorite color. Maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't, but either way, you want to have a bunch of stained glass. Let's say about 70, maybe 80 blocks. We'll go for 77 blocks. That's a nice round number. So 77 blocks of stained glass, and then nothing else. You could have maybe a block above it if you wanted to, just to make things more fun. But for now, just 77 layers of stained glass. We're going to have plains as our type, or Savannah for fun, why not? And then we're going to have villages turned on minimum. And then we're also going to have abandoned mine shafts turned on to the max, and then we're going to have strongholds turned on to max too. So turn down the spacing as well, and suddenly what you've got yourself is a recipe for a very, very bizarre survival experience. So the thing that's so exciting about this is the fact that, as you can see, we'll disable autosave, we'll turn on the host privileges, get this stuff going. The thing that's really exciting about this one, in my opinion, is the fact that you can actually see through the entire world, which makes for a survival experience where you don't have to guess what's underwater. It's basically like X-Ray mod, but kind of allowed. And it also leads to the weirdest situations in how the underground works. So, first of all, most exciting thing, again, we're playing Savannah, so you're going to see how the Savannah Villages, they just look really unnatural on the surface. So as you can see, after we initialize the server here, as you can see, the villagers, they look super weird. Like, you can see right down to the blocks below them. It's weird enough just seeing stuff on stained glass. But again, you're here to see broken things. You're not just here to see, oh, that's kind of interesting, because here is how abandoned mine shafts, and here is how strongholds generate. So the mines generate 1% at a time, which means we'll find one in no time, I'm sure. I think there's a distance from the spawn. Sometimes they try to generate. But here you can see, this is what an abandoned mine shaft looks like. So we can x-ray through the entire thing, which is kind of nice by itself. But it also means you can see from the, inside the abandoned mine shaft to anything else, and that every single one of those blocks is going to exist like that. So yeah, this is pretty crazy by itself, that like, wow, we can just dig straight down, know where the abandoned mine shaft is. So, this is essentially abandoned mine shaft craft. If the other one was like Desert Temple craft, this is entirely focused around abandoned mine shafts, and it's really great because you can just get the loot, like a golden apple, and just kind of take it out there. So that's wonderful, that's great by itself, but it also means that you can see any tunnels that have been made, you can see any caves, we have those turned off for some reason, but you can see anything like that has been made, because as you can see, so look at the glass tunnel I made, because it makes a hole in the glass, and you can't see glass through glass, but you can see holes in glass through glass. It means you're in the really weird situation where digging holes in the stained glass actually allows you to see those things. So again, if you're playing multiplayer, it makes it really easy to see tunnels and stuff like that. Again, it's a weird look at how rendering works. It's counterintuitive, but it's also really quite astounding. And like I said before, here's a stronghold, which does have some, as you can see, it's got some stone brick around the edges, but it's still the exact same thing. You can see what a stronghold looks like. You could do this if you wanted to, but I think stained glass is more fun, and you can see what a stronghold looks like, even you're not meant to be able to, because this is meant to be stone, but it means we can get the full glance of how these work. And if you want to examine strongholds, you want to see how they generate, here's the only and best way you can do that. So yeah, this is the second kind of best rendering technique, or second most broken and most interesting rendering technique thing. But let's move on to the next one, which is going to involve another kind of fun structure. So again, we're doing some, like while we're talking about like, you can use lots of layers if you want to make, your stuff look crazy. What if we use no layers at all? That's right. If we go into creative, and we, we set our world size, we go to Superflat again, and always going to hit that. So if we just remove this layer altogether, we can remove every layer except this last bedrock. So the last bedrock layer has to stay there, like no matter what you do, it's always just going to add something on top of it. You can't delete this last bedrock layer, it just is not possible. Cannot be broken, cannot be removed. So what if we did instead combine it with Roof Forest? We combined it with Woodland Mansions at the minimum spacing, with the minimum separation. We'll put dungeons in there for fun, just like turn on everything you want to if you really want to here. It's going to give you error messages when you're done, but if we combine these things together with nothing, then something rather interesting happens. Again, most structures have been fixed, so they'll work pretty fine in any environment. However, the abandoned mine shaft, the Roof Forest in particular, has some very weird issues. So let's go into the game now. Same thing, we're going with just bedrock and just Woodland Mansions. We could technically have other structures, and we have everything that will enable turned on. However, the Woodland Mansion is not designed to generate at bedrock. There is no coding that deals with that last layer, which means you get a rather interesting kind of thing. Again, it's not quite as interesting as the rest of these in terms of like, so you get to see desert temples fly in the sky, but you get to see something that doesn't happen otherwise. Again, even the desert temple at least connects to the ground. There's some logic with what's going on. However, the roof forests have some serious issues. So let me just start by mentioning here that the bedrock layer also is the smallest world type you can have, at least on bedrock right now. So if you want to have the most efficient file types and have an infinite world that you can fully explore, this is your best bet because it will have the least issues. So yeah, just fun little fact there. But let's talk about this one, and let's talk about the craziness of it as soon as it. For some reason, I guess like spawning in the Roof Forest Woodland Mansion things is causing some serious strain on the game. That's weird. Now you know. But as you can see, here is the Roof Forest Mansion thing. I don't know why I always want to call it the Roof Forest Mansion, but the thing that spawns in the woodlands. You're all familiar with its name, whatever you call it. You can call it Steve if you want to, but that doesn't stop it being the thing that you're seeing in front of me. But as you can see, it has no idea how to generate on just bedrock. Again, it's not meant to touch bedrock. So instead what you get is this weird no touching distance, whereas you can see perfectly underneath the thing. You can see what's going on underneath this crazy thing. And that even means that if we have an elytra, let's just say we have an elytra in here. So always takes me a second to find it because it's in transport and not in tools. But if we had an elytra, this means we can actually fly underneath the thing. Again, it's tricky to do, but it means you can actually go underneath the Woodland Mansion. And although the exact purposes of this is like, I'm sure you can use it for something or other, is a little bit weird. It is still really fun in my opinion, and it is something you can do. So have you ever wanted to have the most perfectly untouched world? Anything you build here is going to be the only thing you build, kind of wonderful. But second of all, have everyone had roof, the only structure which will float above the ground. Like, again, the game is very, very heavily designed to stop this thing happening because it looks so unnatural, but you can do it in this situation, and it's kind of fun if you ask me. Also, if you want to, you can surround them with lava, and or even if you just, for fun, it's just like, just dump some lava on here, and then come back like an hour later. You'll have a lot of fun with it, and it's something I recommend. So let's move on to the next kind of weird, glitchy, custom super flat thing you can do, because it does involve this time, again, it's actually going back to the whole, like, what if you had lots of nothingness in there, but this time we're actually going to put the nothingness in there ourselves. So disable autosave, blah blah blah, but this time, so as I said, we're going to put nothingness in there on purpose. So we're going to have like 77 layers. That's just my lucky number today. 77 layers of air between me and the bedrock. We can put something else down there if we want to, like water or diamonds or whatever you're feeling. But for now, just 77 layers, plus we'll add in a layer of, like, I don't know, acacia planks. They look nice, right? And then we'll have our biome be set to, plains, just for fun, or like desert, savanna, whatever works for you. I like savanna because there's no rain, so there you go. And basically we're going to do that with villages. Again, everything turned on to max, just like it is before. And this gives us two really interesting things. So again, you really want to have villages turned on, because if you want to have a sky village situation, again, sky village is where you have like the world fall apart and you leave just the villages. That's a lot of fun, but it does create the issue where you can't actually get it to work on the Minecraft console edition right now. Again, whether that remains in the Bedrock version or not is, again, debatable, but given that we know that it will run on consoles, they might decide to make it more user-friendly. So if they do that, and you really like the idea of, like, what if we only had floating villages, then here is the closest thing you can get. So as you can see, it is a world that consists of just, oh, this is a weird combination. This doesn't work quite so well together, but it's a world that consists of just the acacia planks on the floor, combined with just Savannah Villages. So yeah, you can kind of treat the floor like lava if you want to, and just, again, you can't break it if you want to, because you die if you do. So it means you only have villages and technically the floor to go down, but if you want to make things even crazier, here's a fun idea. Bring a flint and steel with you, or go to your nearest blacksmith chest, you'll find one easily, and just light yourself a bunch of fires. So just make a whole bunch of fires around here. And the thing about fires is, although sometimes they put themselves out, if you make about 10 or 15 of them, the amount they spread is pretty far. How about I just show you a little bit, because you can see some fires die, but some fires expand, and it's very rare for a fire to put itself out by itself when you've got so much stuff to go through. So yeah, you can kind of treat this as the closest thing we have to Sky Village. You can't have concrete fall down, you can't have gravel fall down, you can't have sand fall down, but what you can do instead, again, we might be able to do those things, and this won't be necessary, but it's kind of fun and satisfying to see the world burn, Like, some people say they don't want to watch the world burn, or some people say they do want to watch the world burn, and now you can be one of them. And honestly, it is really satisfying, because the best bit is it won't burn every single block in your world. It will just burn most of them. So, as you can see, some of these blocks are being left alone, and also, as you might be able to see, if you deliberately set the fires, then the fire just kind of rages and expands, even when you're not looking at it. Like, I look over here, and I'm like, oh, look at this, they've got some really nice beetroot here. Maybe I should start a beetroot farm. I hear there's a good market for beetroot in Minecraft, and then suddenly you come back, the fire, unless you get too far away from it, will still keep burning. And again, it burns most of what it attaches. Not all of it, just most of it, which means you're in this very weird situation where villages will be separated, and yeah, it's a race against the clock. It's a close thing to nuclear wasteland, and like I said, there's one other nice benefit of this, which is that there is technically abandoned mine shafts, but they're the trickiest things to get to, because the entire things are submerged in darkness. It's almost impossible to light them, and even getting to them, you have to, like, guess where they'll be, like down here. Not quite here, over there. So you have to guess where they'll be, you have to bring some water with you, and basically everything becomes a real challenge because it's floating in nothingness. Look at those spiders, they're invisible for some reason. Why are they all invisible? I mean, I know there's a tiny chance based on world difficulty for spiders to spawn invisible, but we have what, like 15 spiders here? All of which are invisible? Okay, so that makes it even trickier. Maybe they spawn in darkness and there's a extra fun fact there. Maybe I just got the luckiest thing ever. But look, we have invisible spiders, and by the way, if they hit you once, they'll probably knock you off to your death, by the way. So yeah, that's what makes this really fun. It's a world of darkness. Basically, it's two worlds. You get the world of light above, which is on fire, and you get the world of darkness below, which is scary. And I know, it's kind of great in my opinion. It's a fun little survival world. And also, as you can see, going back to the fire there, it's burning on and on and on and on. So, as you can see, it left some blocks here, it left a block there, and that's the wonderful thing about fire. It's kind of random, it leaves mostly nothing there, but it looks beautiful the way it burns things, in my opinion. And maybe that makes me sound like an arsonist, but let's move on to the next thing before I get accused of anything, and let's talk about the final crazy cool super flat. because in my opinion, the last, the best super flat. So we're gonna go to creative, we're gonna blah, 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 all this stuff again, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove the layers of air. We'll leave the acacia planks. Or actually, you know, let's turn them something fun. Let's just have some never warp blocks, and then we'll do the exact same thing we did before, but instead of doing, you know, stuff, we'll use ocean instead. So ocean means that ocean monuments we'll be able to generate. We'll turn them down to minimum spacing, minimum separation, and we can have everything else turned on if we want to, but it won't affect the game. But let's have them there just for fun regardless, and let's have like an extra, you know, like three layers of this, just so we've got something for caves to form out of. So yeah, we've got caves turned on, we've got ravines turned on, I hope anyway. We've got everything turned on to the max, and what it's going to create, even though village, all those things can't generate, what's going to happen anyway is ocean monuments will still try to generate. And like I said, ocean monuments, they do reach to the ocean floor, but they deliberately kind of carve out the ocean around them. However, if you have very little blocks, again, it has to be this nice round number where it's not just bedrock, but if you have some number of blocks, they'll try to reach those blocks, not realizing they're so far down, and what you get is, how about I just show you, shall I? After the spawn area generates, because again, on the PS4 this is unoptimized. I imagine given how fast Minecraft Bedrock's rendering engine can spawn out the worlds, it'll be even faster than all of this. Again, you might think like, oh, I don't have like 40 seconds to wait. I'm so busy that 40 seconds is literally life and death. If that is you, and I don't blame you, then, you know, yeah, on the Bedrock engine, it will work faster than this. It's just because, again, the console engine's kind of weird. So let me show you this world right here. As you can see, it is a world made from, for some reason, there's some gravel and some stone and floating in the pillar. So, as you can see, the crazy thing about this world, in my opinion, is the fact, is that a, okay, I thought there was like a zombie with a sword. It is a zombie with a sword. A zombie villager with a sword. Very weird. Because obviously that, you know, there's a tiny chance of them generating like that. But anyway, so this is the world we've generated with. So this is a really, really insane thing. You can see there's abandoned mine shafts generating, there's caves, there's lakes. It's the weirdest world to look at, and honestly, look, we've even got rails that go to nowhere, because we've only put 4 layers down, so it's enough for stuff to try to generate, but also enough for it to all pretty much hit bedrock. So, as you can see, we're like, what, 1 block above bedrock now? So yeah, this is the craziest world, because the ocean monuments all try to reach the ground, like they did before, and the crazy thing about the ocean monuments is that there's so many of them that the number of Eld Guardians on screen at once it's especially hard. So again, you're gonna have some weird rendering issues, like you see them float around if you get too close. You can also see how, like in this case, an abandoned mine shaft generated into the pillars on this one. So again, it's weird enough that we have ocean monuments with pillars this high. It still is a functioning monument on the inside. I believe there's no water, it's just dry. So, you know, this is the weirdest thing ever. Like, have you ever wanted to explore an ocean monument without the water? Guess what? As long as you have them be too far above the ground, the water around them won't generate, and therefore it won't generate on the inside. So you can explore the whole thing dry. And also, that means that the Elder Guardians are a lot easier to kill, because if you want to kill them, you just come in here with a diamond sword. What are they going to do about it? Going to fire lasers at you? Well, yes, but, you know, it's a lot easier to get away from them, because you have access to that. So you can kill your Elder Guardian, get your magical fish, and your sponges sometimes, and yeah, there we go, fun sponge fish and all the stuff. But yeah, that's a wonderful thing you can do with ocean monuments, which is fun enough by itself. But like I said already, the wonderful thing about them is the fact that they also look okay, but the wonderful thing about them is that they create this huge area of darkness. It's the only darkness in your entire world, because it's only 4 blocks high. So every single mob that can spawn... Oh my god, we have a baby I have a baby zombie on top of a spider. This is what happens when you do this sort of stuff. You find baby zombie jockeys on your spiders. You can find all this sort of weird, wacky stuff in Minecraft on, and all you have to do is have ocean monuments which spawn above the ground. Again, it's going to happen over here too. There's only so much darkness, so everything spawns here. Honestly, it's super weird, it's super creepy, and it's a real challenge. The one issue I would say is you're not going to have access to most resources, but again, have a bonus chest and just give yourself one of the craziest challenges, and this is what makes custom superflats great. Again, these are mostly about survival challenges, but you can use them for creative builds. Like, again, customize this in some way and it'll look like some weird, you know, spider mech or something. The fact that there's so many weird things that Minecraft itself will do if you just tell it to do is what gets me really excited, because this is the console edition. Consoles, I asked 4J about this once, like I was like, you know, you removed my favorite super flat, and they were just like, look, honestly, we have to, because it's a console edition agreement that we can't break their consoles, we can't let you break their consoles. It's a certification thing, but that's not necessarily going to apply to Bedrock, which gets me really excited because we can go beyond this. This is the start, potentially, of what we'll be doing in the new updates, and if you want to see that when it does come out, because again, we don't know exactly when or where custom superflat will be, how it will work, all that sort of stuff. But if you want to see my crazy experimentations with it, then you can subscribe to this channel, make sure you turn notifications on, and I hope you did all enjoy this video. Like if you liked it, share if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here, because I make videos like this one every single day on my channel, and if you subscribe, you'll see them dead in your homepage. Seriously, look at this thing. This is the weirdest abandoned mineshaft ever. It's surrounded by mobs. The track goes through the ocean monument, and like, this is just something you don't see every day, and it's why you need to subscribe, so you can see it on other days. Or whatever. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. It's been a long time. I know my voice sucked, but I've been powering through, and I hope you all appreciated it as much as I enjoyed making the video. But for now, I'll see you all. Wait, floating strong hard. So yeah, for now, I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.